What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. It's very exciting. It's a very exciting time to be alive, and it's a very exciting time to be a YouTube creator. I am pretty excited. I'm making back-to-back videos because I have officially reached the 1,000 subscriber count, and wow, that's a lot of people. To me, that's a lot of people. I know there's people out there with millions and hundreds of millions, but to me, that's 1,000's a lot, man. And all I did was make a few videos that have information about something that I happen to know. So thank you guys to everybody who comments, likes, subscribe to my channel. You guys are the best. And this video is going to be on pheromones. And at the end of the video, I'm going to mention a little prize because I'm going to give a little sample as a gift of a pheromone that I have in oil form. Depending on it, whether you're a man or a woman, I might decide which one exactly I want to give you, or I might just do a social pheromone to make it kind of interesting. So stay tuned. Towards the end, I have the details on how to score this free gift to one lucky person who is on my channel. So anyway, right back into it. Let's start talking about pheromones. Oh, real quick, I have to tell you, the pheromone journey that I started was back in 2014. So I started pheromones in March or April of 2014, and I got into Subliminals in November of 2014. So there was about a 5-month gap, and I was researching pheromones. I'm trying to remember. I feel like when I was in college back in 2008, 2009, I had a friend, and he was a good friend of mine, and unfortunately he ended up passing away a few years ago, so it sucks. So I'm giving him an honor by mentioning this. I could swear that back in the day when we were in college together, he mentioned that he used pheromones, and I had that filed away in the back of my mind. And this dude was an insanely intelligent person. Like, he knew shortcuts in every single aspect of life, and he was a master chemist. Like, he was synthesizing things in a lab from his house, and he was like, man, this is an incredible dude. So me remembering something about him mentioning pheromones, I stuck that in the back of my mind. So let's say fast forward, it was about 5 years. I decided one day, you know what? I feel like I'm gonna look up pheromones. I wanna know what this is all about. So I typed in pheromones on Google, and I came up to Androtics Direct, and I started my pheromone journey from there. Bought a bunch of products, started figuring out that pheromone is actually an umbrella term that encompasses a lot of different molecules, and those molecules are actually produced by our own human body. And the ones I want to be talking about in this video are specifically the androstenols. Androstenol. There's another one, androstenol, which is very subtly used. I mean, it's seldom used. It's not often used, but it's a good pheromone. But I'm going to talk about Alpha-Androstenol and Beta-Androstenol. These are two social molecules. They comprise a lot of the common blends that you find on the market today. If you look up on Amazon, if you look up on Google, Pheromone XS, my favorite pheromone creators, anywhere, pretty much anywhere, they use a combination of either androstenol, or A1. I'll leave it at A1. So either one of those two, or androsterone, one of those three, plus a social pheromone. And that social pheromone more often than not happens to be androstenol, either alpha-androstenol or beta-androstenol. So there's a very significant difference between these two. So alpha and beta, okay? Let's think of it like this. Let's think of them as two sides to the same coin. They both kind of function in a very similar aspect. If you think about it from a social perspective standpoint, they both affect other people's perceptions of you in a very particular way. It's a very socially charged pheromone. Alpha-androstenol makes you chatty and makes you very talkative, kind of like I'm talking now, except I didn't actually use pheromones before getting on this video. Alpha-androstenol makes you very talkative, and it almost makes you talkative to the point where you don't even understand what you're saying. It's just like a jibber-jabber chatterbox that keeps going and going and going and going and going. Untempered, of course, that's what it does. Beta-androstenol, on the other hand, has a completely different effect, but it's also very socially charged. It creates an aura of trust, like authority. It gives not an alpha style, and when I say alpha, I meant status in this instant when I mentioned alpha. So it doesn't give you like a status authority type of trust. It's more of like an internal conscious or subconscious feeling of, I think I can trust this person type effect. It has a negative side effect when untempered. It can make people spill their hearts out to the point where, like, it's almost like a truth serum. The deepest, darkest secrets that somebody has held deep within their whole life all of a sudden comes out. And if you don't temper that molecule right, beta-androstenol, it could turn bad, because it could actually start a conversation that is very difficult. And once you get going and you're deep in the middle of that conversation, it's not that easy to really break away, because the beta-androstenol is making this connection stronger with this topic that you're discussing. So it's really important that whether you use alpha-androstenol or beta-androstenol, you have to make sure that it's tempered. Luckily, with most of the popular products that you can get off the shelf, and when I mean shelf, I mean the internet shelf, of course, because you can't really find these in stores. The good thing about most of these popularized blends is that they come tempered. They come in the dosages exactly the way they need to be in order for the pheromone to be effective. One time, I'm going to tell you this story. One of my closest friends, and Steven, if you're watching this video, shout out to you, man, because I'm gonna mention this story to you. Back when you were in Texas many years ago, I believe it was 2015, and when I first told you about pheromones, you were in Texas and it was on the way to the airport, right? We went from where you were staying on the way to the airport, and it was like an hour drive, and we both had used pheromones because we were just testing them out. It's kind of having like with this fun effect, what would the other person perceive when we use this? So we both, I think we used a combination of Connections XS, which is a trust building, and Exist. The combination of these two pheromones together, I want to say it wasn't necessarily the greatest combination, because our conversations, while always, like between me and Steven, they're always very strong, and they're very like the bold, and the communication is very strong. The connection is very strong between us. That's what makes us really good friends. But this conversation turned dark very fast, and we were in the car for about an hour, and we were talking about dark and depressing things. Like, this was gonna be the last time we were gonna see each other for a couple years, so that wasn't really the best way to spend that conversation. I don't regret it by any means, because it was an amazing conversation as usual with my buddy. But that combination was not a good combination to go together, and therefore I want to say it was not tempered correctly. The beta-androstenol was not tempered correctly. It resulted in dark communication, and while it was completely honest, and while it was conversation that is like, it's not unheard of to be had, it's like it's an actual conversation, a real life conversation between two human beings. It just so happened that that topic, once we started on that topic, it started getting dark, and it was it was a challenging topic, to say the least. On the other hand, there's other pheromone blends out there where it's just loaded with alpha-androstenol, and they have an uncanny, they have like this infamy about them, where if you use it, if you're a guy and you use it and you're trying to get girls to talk to you, it will make the girls talk so much, and it'll make you talk so much, that if it's making the girl talk so much, she's talking so much nonsense and mumbo jumbo, and then she's second guessing herself, wondering, why am I saying this? And then like she almost like negates herself wanting to talk to you. Excuse me. But then on the flip side, if it's you that's wearing it and you're the one talking, you're saying so much stuff, and you can be perceived as kind of like a buffoon, like, what is he saying, type of like, well, he's talking too much, like, did he take a bunch of Adderall or something? So there's that aspect that you have to consider, that some of these popular blends has that aspect to them, which is why it's important for the pheromone to be tempered, alpha-androstenol. But in combination, they're very good. There's two very popular products out there, and I don't know if they still make them, but back in the day in 2014, that's what I first started off with, and they're called Instant Honesty and Instant Openness. They were very expensive. Like, I want to say there was like $100 for 30 milliliter, and yeah, it smelled amazing. I have to give you that. Like, Androtix, you did an amazing job. Your scents are amazing, but that's a really high price point, yo. Like, I can't believe I even paid that, to be honest. But here's the thing. Both of them have both of those molecules, alpha-androstenol and beta-androstenol. Instant Honesty is named as such because it allows people to be honest, and their conversations have like a really honest and trust-building and connecting topic. Instant Honesty has 70% beta-androstenol and 30% alpha-androstenol, while Instant Openness, on the other hand, has the opposite, 70% alpha-androstenol and 30% beta-androstenol. Good combinations, very high price. But when I ran out of Instant Honesty and I was looking on Andronics Direct for their pricing, I was like, no. So I went on, that's exactly what led me to Pheromone Excess. That instance right there led me to Pheromone Excess. What I did was I looked up Excess because I knew Steve-O was a very well-respected member of Andronics Direct's forum, and I heard that he started his own pheromone company, so I was like, let me check this out, because I knew this dude. I've read his posts. He made some incredible observations, and like the way that this dude's mind works was incredible. Like, and the way that he is as a human being, I relate with that on a core level, because him and I mean, even though I've never met with him in person, but I've had conversations with him on the phone, and we're very similar in personalities. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna check this guy's blends out. And that first product that I bought at Pheromone XS was it was called Connections. It's very perfectly named because that pheromone blend, Connections, is primarily beta-androstenol, but it also has a few other pheromone molecules as well. And it really tempers the way that it works. It's incredible because all you need is like half a drop, really. I got the oil, and I get oil on everything. If you know me, if you've seen some of my other videos on pheromones, you know that I stick with oil across the board. I'm in Houston, Texas, and it's hot as hell here. And with that being the case, sprays diffuse way too fast in this heat, but oils, they diffuse slower, and they diffuse a little bit faster when it's really hot. So it actually works very well. And if you're in a closed environment and it's hot, the pheromones kind of fill the room, and it's very clear that the other person perceiving it is very clear and very aware that you are the one giving that signature because of how believable it is. The way that I'll get into that in a different video, but I prefer oils over sprays. So anyway, I got Connections, and I remember very vividly the note that Steve-O handwrote himself. He said, "Thanks for giving us a try. I'm sure you will like it. This has way more pheromones than you're probably used to at Andronics Direct. So enjoy and use. Then less is more, basically, is what he said. So since I got an oil and I'm used to using like 3-4 sprays at Andronics Direct, I used a lot at first. But man, that's so overkill. It's like way overkill. You only really need half a drop of the oil for it to work. Any more than that, and the conversations can turn dark very easily, and it's very difficult to maintain a positive connection and the bond. Even though the connection is very strong still, the pheromone still works, even at high concentrations. But it isn't very necessary because you want to have a light conversation with people. I really love that pheromone because it helps me connect with human beings, and that's the type of person that I am. And that's the type of conversations that I like to have, are very engaging and rapport building conversations. Especially in the line of work that I do, I deal a lot with people, so I have to have a constant connectability, like an aura of connectability. I don't even know if that's a word, but you know what I mean. Like, I have to be perceived as someone who they can trust, because I am in a position of authority, and it's very important for people to feel like they can trust me. And I don't necessarily need the pheromone to convey that, but it does help, especially in small doses. And even in social settings, whenever I'm talking to people one-on-one or even in a small setting, I love having that pheromone, just a little tiny half a drop on me. And it really helps spark up some conversations, and it really helps like give fire to new relationships, or it helps to reignite some of the old relationships, even if it doesn't need reigniting. So anyway, as far as beta-androstenol goes, it's a great pheromone, and you have to keep in mind that when you use it, make sure to temper it if you're using it by itself, or if you use it in instant honesty, you can use it by itself, but it's also very well used with other pheromones. I don't necessarily see beta-androstenol or even beta-androstenol heavy products being like very good solo, even though they can be. I use the Connections mostly with Taboo. I've had the most insane hit from a combination of a sample spray of Taboo and 1 drop of Connections back when I first got it. So like I just told you, I got that first batch of Connections, my first pheromone from Pheromone XS. Connections was the first one, and it came with a little sample of Taboo. And one day I went to a meeting with like 30-40 people, and there was like a bunch of people present. And I had one spray of taboo and I had one drop of oil back in 2014, and the responses I got from people was insane. Like, I'd never, up until that point, and keep in mind that was November. Keep in mind that was November, and I first got into pheromones like 5 months before that. So I'd never, up until that point, had an experience that profound with pheromones. Like, I'd never had a hit that was so in my face, like, wow, that was definitely the pheromones, until that moment. And since that moment, I've fell in love with that taboo and connections combination, because it's amazing. Taboo gives you a little allure of mystery while being very attractive to the younger crowd. And then connections give you that aura of trust and connectability, I guess. Hear that word again. So it was a really interesting combination, and I swear by it. It's my favorite combination to date, and you really don't even need much. My second favorite combination with that pheromone is Exist and not Exist. Sorry, I missaid what I just said. My second favorite combination ever is Taboo oil and Exist oil. 4 drops of each. Yes, you heard me right. 4 drops of each. You will smell pretty bad if you use that combination. So make sure you have a cover scent handy. Make sure you spray it first and then drop 4 globs of this oil on yourself and rub your neck. And strong combination, very strong combination. Most pheromone companies, if you're like, there's pheromone companies out there, and most of them, I want to say 95% of them, if you use that much pheromones at one time, you will receive an effect which is commonly referred to as ghosting, which means that this pheromone signature that you are emitting is so unbelievable, like, it's so insane that people will automatically, subconsciously tune you out, because you will be perceived as something that cannot exist in this reality. So they will completely shut you out, and you will effectively be ghosted by their subconscious. It's not a good feeling. It's not a good place to be in. You don't ever want that to happen. And with most pheromone blends out there, that's not pheromone excess, you will experience that. And that's something that you need to be careful of when you use a lot of pheromones. You can very easily experience the phenomenon of ghosting. But that's one thing I have not found to be the case with pheromone excess. Like I said, I just used 4 and 4 at one time, and it was still perfectly good. Like, that pheromone signature was very balanced. That's another thing that I really like about Steve-O, is he really calculated to the T. Like, he's done his experimentation. He's definitely done his experimentation, not just with himself, but other testers as well that help him test the products, to be able to get the ratio so perfect that you can use an excessive amount of pheromones and it's still believable and does not trigger ghosting effect in the people that perceive you. So all of that being said, guys, social pheromones, androstenol and beta-androstenol. I know I didn't really talk much about alpha-androstenol simply because I don't really have much experience on it. A lot of the things that I've heard is that alpha-androstenol actually kills the status effect of alpha blends. Okay, alpha-androstenol kills the status effect of authority pheromones, like for instance A314 by Androtix Direct, or Ascend, or API. Those are status pheromones, status blends, but the alpha-androstenol is known to kill that status effect, because how can someone who is so chatty and jibber-jabbery possibly have so much status, right? So I've kind of shied away from alpha-androstenol products, alpha-androstenol heavy products, solely because of that reason. But a lot of products out there, a lot of men's products and a lot of social products do have that alpha-androstenol in it. So in blends I've used it, but as far as like actual effects by itself or primarily, I don't really have much experience, so I apologize about that. But I will let you know that there's a very good forum that you can check out, which is discoverxs.com, which is discover and the letter X and the letter S.com. You can look up anything you want to know about pheromones there. So here's the part that everybody was waiting for. The contest, the giveaway. So today is November 20th, and I'm going to publish this probably on November 21st. So I'm going to have a contest by December 21st. I'm going to go to a random comment generator website, which I've done in the past, and between November 21st and December 21st, anybody who comments, likes, and subscribes to my channel, likes this video, comments on this video, and subscribes to my channel, is entered into that drawing in the random comment generator, where it'll randomly pick one of the people commented this video, and I will give you a 3 milliliter oil of your choice based on what options I have available, which more than likely is going to be either Glow, it's going to be either Desire Me, or it's going to be Exist, or it's going to be Connections. So, alright guys, you know what to do. Like, comment, and subscribe to this video and to my channel, and within a month, if I pick your name, I will leave a message. I will reply to your comment on this video with a link to the other video that demonstrates me taking a recording of you actually winning this and proof that you're winning it. And I'm also going to send you my email address so you can send me your address and I'll send you that pheromone, guys. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching this video. It's an honor to make more videos for you guys. Take care, guys. Take care. Good night, good morning, good evening, wherever you are.